Way back in September, 10 teams put this location on their mood board of where they would like to end up on the 10th of April. They did battle all season, but there were only 2 left standing. We've taken you round the country, but we end up here today at Rugby HQ, Twickenham Stadium, for the BUCS Super Rugby final, featuring defending champions Hartpury and the pretenders Leeds Beckett on a roll. Well guys, welcome pitch side. We've already had a thriller of a final in the women's. Exeter coming out on top over Durham, who gave it everything, and we are sure enough going to have just as good a final with the men's. We've got Hartpury and Leeds Beckett, represented by last year's winning captain Tom Pashley for Hartpury, and Harry Collier, unfortunately injured against Hartpury this season on the road to Twickenham, but they're both going to be giving us some valuable insight for the match we have today. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So we're going to start with you, Pash. Fond memories of Twickenham. You've been here twice, left with a medal twice and captain last year.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, coming back today has brought some fantastic memories, and made me feel a bit emotional, to be honest with you, coming out here, seeing the crowd, seeing the boys warming up. It's a special occasion and a special moment.
I think it's fair to say BUCS Super Rugby puts you in some pressure situations week in, week out, but nothing can quite compare to coming to a big stadium like this, can it?
Oh no, exactly, and we definitely made things hard for ourselves last year. And coming here is just, it's a fantastic occasion, and the pressures do build, but when you're in that game, sometimes you've got to forget about your surroundings and just stick with what you know.
Stick with what you know. Now coming to you, Harry, because the Leeds Beckett story is absolutely fascinating. Rock bottom of the league in November, you couldn't buy a win. It culminated in, a humiliating defeat against Cardiff, the new boys, which nobody expected. Since then, 11 games undefeated, just 1 draw in there, and just like simply irresistible at the moment.
Yeah, it was well established. We had a bit of a difficult start to the season. You know, we had to go to Exeter away first game, good out for Exeter. Cardiff met as well, another big ask. But ever since Christmas, I think we had, as a group, we realised that we need to sort things out here. We came together, we put a few things straight, and I think the next performance we came playing against Hartpury at home, we pushed them close, but again Hartpury won that one. But again, after that game, we really drove on and got 11 wins unbeaten.
Well, you mentioned the loss to Hartpury, but along with your confidence, your form at the moment, you've actually beaten Hartpury away this season by 1 point, so you know how to beat these guys.
Oh yeah, of course. I think we played them in, I think it was October time, and it was good atmosphere up there. We really stuck to our structure, and I think it's time against big teams like that, you've really got to do that. So that was a good win. But this year, I think the momentum's massive for us, especially going into a final like this, big occasion. I'm sure the boys will do all right.
Massive occasion. One thing I'm going to say about Beckett that we've seen, that you've developed into what some described as an all-court team. You're known for your forward power. You are scoring tries for fun out in the back division.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of the writers have criticised Steph James over the last few games, and I think if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. So he deserves a lot of credit. The 10, our backline has been phenomenal this side of Christmas. Ben Dixon at 12, he's really stepped up, and he's taken a pretty big figure in the side along our forwards. They speak for themselves.
Excellent stuff. Okay, last question for you, Pash. You've been in there, you've been in the sheds, leading the team out. What are the messages that are being delivered now to harness the emotion of the occasion, but stay focused and stick to the game plan?
I think, like I said a second ago, you just got to remember what you play for and your structure, and stick to what you know. At the end of the day, it's the same rugby pitch that you're playing on today. It's just in a different environment with a few thousand seats surrounding you. But so for me, it's just about sticking to the structure, sticking to how you've been playing this season, and yeah.
Sticking to the structure, but you want some standout performers to perform for you. I'm thinking John Okafor for you, Irv the Swerve Murick. If those boys step up, then we've got a hell of a game on our hands. But we're here at Twickenham today, but it has been a long old road, so let's see both teams' journey.
Yeah, it was a strong pre-season, good bunch of boys coming back in. It was never, we are the reigning champions. It was, let's go and see what we can do this season.
Hartpury have got a chance to attack as Irving Murick bounces his first one, bounces the second. He's swerving, he gives the offload, there's a man on the inside, it's Toby Bella, who lights up Gilman's ground with a diving score.
The boys started the season really well, went on a bit of a winning run, had a few hiccups, a few ups and downs in the season, but the boys are coming through strong now.
As Hartpury find the space, down the left flank it's Venner to Caven, who juggles it, gathers it, slithers across.
All the lads throughout the week, they were really excited for it. Did our homework, and the stuff we did paid off. Credit to Bath, from the season they've had. They were real title contenders and real Twickenham contenders.
The leadership of the boys, they keep themselves motivated. They're a great bunch of boys, and it all comes from them.
But it's Hartpury who will progress to the BUCS Super Rugby final.
It's absolutely massive, and for personally my last year and a few of the other boys last year, there's no bigger stage to finish. Myself and Biggsy hopefully lifting that trophy at Twickenham, but again a lot of hard work to be done before then and get past the challenge of Leeds, but yeah, we'll see.
It's a new bunch of boys, it's a great occasion, and we're hoping to get that win.
It was a good pre-season. We had a pretty good year the year before in terms of where we were 2 years ago. The plans we had in place went really well. I thought, we worked them really hard up conditioning wise, so I was pretty happy with our pre-season.
Obviously started pretty slow, a lot of long trips. We had Bath away, Hartpury away, Exeter away.
Around November time, I think we were bottom of the league after the Cardiff away game. So yeah, not the greatest, but obviously after that I think we bounced back pretty well. We came up short in a couple of games just by a couple of points, so I think if those results would have gone the other way, we would have been sitting at the top of the table anyway. So I just think a couple of results that didn't go our way meant we were sitting at the bottom.
It's just like unbelievable effort from the boys to make our way all the way back up that table and finish fourth.
It's been a real squad effort. I'm really pleased that players are developing off the field and on the field.
And we got a couple of games under our belts, and ever since then we haven't really looked back, and all the boys have done really well to keep that winning streak going.
We've been working hard behind the scenes in the last 11 weeks and making sure that we're staying humble in our approach and what we're doing, and just keep cracking on, really.
They obviously probably have a bit more experience with us in finals. I'm sure a lot of their boys played in the final last year, so they're going to know exactly what it's going to be like. I can't imagine we're going to change too much or they're going to change too much from when we played them last. So hopefully we can just match whatever they bring and more and get the win.
I think they'll be well prepared. They'll be dissecting that game just like we are, and it'll be a great occasion for everybody, I think.
Well, the fans have followed us on this journey to Twickenham. You can see him getting rowdy in the background, but we've got a bit of breaking news. Leeds Beckett star winger Chester Duff injured in the warm-up, so Harry Robinson comes in. Chester Duff scoring for fun. Massive loss for you.
Yeah, of course. Chester suits the way we play. He's a brilliant player. He's been picked for England students, which he's travelling tomorrow, so I hope it's not too bad. But then again, I've got no doubt that Harry Robinson will come off a bench and really do a job. Very confident.
All right, bit of late drama. Okay, let's hear from the coaches. Kerry Woods, bottom of the league in November. Did anybody think you were going to be here today on this glorious sunny day at Twickenham?
Probably not. I think that's the honest answer. But we're here, so we're here and we're happy. And the boys were always confident that we were going to pull it around, and they did. So we're happy.
In some ways, going through that adversity at the start of the season, then going on this extraordinary role, do you feel it's galvanised the team and made them stronger as a bond, as a unit?
Without a doubt. Mentally we're in the right place at the minute. There's a couple of games where it's been touchy and we've won those games. It's a bit of luck involved. That's a big part of sport, isn't it? We've had to bounce the ball sometimes, the refs call sometimes, and that's helped our mental preparation leading into it. And so we're pretty confident.
You've done all the hard work in getting here, did all the hard work in getting into the playoffs even. Can the boys enjoy it now?
Well, I hope so. That's what we'll be talking about last night. We had a meeting last night, just enjoy it, boys. You know, you've done well to get here, but the job's not finished. So go and finish your job, and then the rest of the week will probably be a little bit better. You know, so hopefully they can pull it out today.
Okay, final question, because I know you want to get back to the lads who are warming up over there. Your team selection is a model of consistency, but knowing you, are there some tricks up your sleeve today?
Nah, no tricks. I think, consistency is key for us. We've been really lucky on the injury front, and that's credit to the support staff behind the scenes, and so pretty happy. And our backline's been on fire for the last 4 or 5 weeks. Colin Stevens, director of rugby, has done a great job in making them identify space and use space, and the pack's been helping with that as well. So we're ready to go.
Great stuff. Best of luck, Kerry. Look forward to it.
Cheers, buddy.
Don Lynn, fancy seeing you here. Do you just put the same address in the sat-nav every season?
No, we know it's always going to be a tough one, mate, and it's a good place to come anyway, and we're looking forward for the day.
Right, I've just seen you have a real intense power with the backs and go through some moves. You're shouting accuracy, intensity. Is that the order of the day?
Yeah, it is, and that's something that we've been looking at, especially with the knockouts, is how accurate we can be and don't let the Leeds set forwards into the game.
Now, Leeds Beckett, they beat you earlier in the season, then they went on a horrendous losing run, and then you managed to beat them before they went on their winning run. So you're an odd couple.
Yeah, very odd. And we know it's going to be a tough one. Every time we play Leeds, I remember 2 years ago, it was a tough one. We won at the death with a kick. They're a good outfit, and don't forget we're on a good run as well.
Yeah, absolutely, including that win over Bath, who are famed for their forward power, but Beckett really are a different animal when it comes to the pack.
Yeah, definitely, and to go down to Exeter in the semi-final like they did 2 weeks ago, we're going to show them a lot of respect today and see how it goes.
A lot of returners from last year's win. In fact, there's some boys who are looking for their hat-trick. Must be great to have that experience.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I think it's nice to get these freshers or second-year boys who were here in the stand last year, and they want a bite of the cherry, and here they are now. It's great to see.
Awesome to see. Right, I'll let you get back off. Cheers, Linny, and all the best. The teams are out of the tunnel. The trophy is on display. The tension is rising, and it is time to throw you to the voice of BUCS Super Rugby, Dave Rogers, with Danny Milton.
Thank you very much, Joe. The players are out, the anticipation builds. It's BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Will we have a new name on the trophy, or will it be a Hartpury three-peat? Are they that untouchable at this level? Let's take a look at the sides who will take the field. Of course, Leeds Beckett with that last-minute change, but we'll come to Hartpury first. 9 of the 23 were involved in last year's victory over Cardiff Met. And for tight head Alex Gibson and number 8 Harry Wilson, it is a third Twickenham final in a row. Luke Boone, Will Biggs and Alex Gibson in the front row. Tom Everard and Angus Southern both involved last year in the engine room. Will Hopwood, Max Clemenson and Harry Wilson at 6, 7 and 8. Toby Bennett and Nathan Chamberlain are the halfbacks. Eli Caven on the left wing. Irvin Murick, the top scorer in the league, on the right. Joe Margetts and Robbie Smith at 12 and 13. And Jack Johnson makes up the starting 15. For Leeds Beckett, it is an incredible 11-game unbeaten streak. Their only points dropped, a draw with Cardiff Met 6 games ago. Ryan Everly, Will Routledge and Xavier Valentine, a formidable front row. John Okafor and Adrian Wadden at 4 and 5. Johnny Teague, Toby Francis and Dan Grange, a massive back row. The Welsh halfbacks are Connor Lloyd and Steph James. Will Lewin on the left wing, Ben Dixon and Tom Williams. But the big news is Chester Duff is injured in the warm-up, so Harry Robinson will start on the right. Kieran Davis at full-back. Well, in the glorious sunshine here at Twickenham, I feel as though the finishers are going to have a massive part to play, as are the crowd. Hartpury have arrived in force. On the benches, Liney, Atkins, English, Kellen, Burnett, Ben George, who started last year's final, Cole and Forrester. For Beckett, it's Theron, Cade, Visser, Ward, Lloyd, Adamson, Venables, and we're yet to find out whether or not Harry Robinson will be replaced on the Leeds Beckett bench, or if there will be a 22 instead of a 23. Well, Twickenham bathed in glorious sunshine for this, the biggest occasion in university rugby. So we brought one of the biggest names in university rugby to accompany me on the microphone here. Director of Rugby at Cardiff Met, last year's beaten finalist. Sorry, had to get that one in early, but Danny Milton, welcome. Great to have you here for another fantastic occasion.
And really excited to be here, Dave. You know, these days are fantastic occasions, and obviously I'd far rather be here in a playing capacity, but if I can't be, what better place to be than sat next to you?
Well, Hartpury in those red jerseys. We've become so used to them here, almost a permanent fixture at Twickenham. Leeds Beckett will receive the opening kickoff in their changed jerseys of mint green with black trim. Nathan Chamberlain to kick off, 141 points, the league's top scorer. They've got Irvin Murick on the wing, the top try scorer, and those are two names that you'll be hearing plenty of today. But Leeds Beckett, bottom of the league at Christmas, finished in the top 4, and now they're here at Twickenham, looking to become only the second team in the BUCS Super Rugby era to lift the trophy. But this trophy, almost like a heavyweight title belt. If you want to take it from the champions, you genuinely have to take it from the champions. History awaits one of these sides. And Nathan Chamberlain gets us underway, kicking into the shade in front of the stands, and that is a heck of a save on Adrian Wadden, who nearly toppled over there. And Hartpury straight on the front foot. They receive that opening kick-off, and they'll have an opportunity to attack the try line. Or the 22 at least, Tom Everard with the carry there. There's Robbie Smith. I know he's an outside centre that you've been particularly impressed with this season, Danny.
Yeah, Robbie spent a year with us, and obviously didn't quite get to grips with the university lifestyle, but it's been great to see him really grow in maturity and become a real success of this Hartpury side this season at 13. And aside from probably our own Luke Northmore, probably a standout player for them.
Well, good initial phase play here from Hartpury, but Leeds Beckett brutal in defence, and they're making that gain line very difficult to breach, defending that 22 like it were the try line. But Hartpury try and put some width on it. Big shot there in the sunshine. Incredible conditions. Some beating down on us here. Toby Venner, second BUCS final for him. He was on the bench last year, preferred to Ben George this time round.
That's it, you're out. Again, it's an impressive opening year from Hartpury, staying in possession of the ball for such a long period of time, really starting to put this Leeds Beckett defence under pressure.
Well, they're having to make some tackles, Leeds Beckett, which is something they really have become accustomed to. This 11-game run they're on started off with some demolitions, but it's become a little bit tighter as we've got closer, and they've come through some battles. But 2 minutes of relentless attacking from Hartpury. They've not made any meters, but they have won a penalty. And they're going to have a pot at goal here. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. And after receiving the opening kickoff, or claiming the opening kickoff, should I say, Hartpury will have the chance to break the deadlock.
Yeah, and Chamberlain now, Nathan Chamberlain, has been a key part of this Hartpury side this year. We played them on 2 occasions, and once when he wasn't playing and once when he was, and he really was a big difference in their side. Part of the Scotland under-20 squad, if I'm right, and when he plays, he certainly makes them tick, as you saw with them going through the phases there.
And he's kicked 48 from 59 this season, 141 points in all, 126 off the boot and 3 tries. He'll be hoping to get to 150 before the end of the season, and he's got about 77 minutes to do it in. Well, the Leeds Beckett supporters definitely making their presence felt, and that kick drifts across the face. So 3 minutes gone, Hartpury 0, Leeds Beckett 0.
Yeah, that's a disappointing kick from Nathan. I'm sure it would be one we'd be expecting him to get. You know, we've just seen the women's game earlier on today where people were kicking them for fun from all aspects of the park. So that's a disappointing start, and hopefully one that won't be too costly later in the game.
Well, he is 81% for the season before today. One of the more prolific kickers in the league. Josh Hodge, 94%. Oh, that's been ripped. And that is the threat that Leeds Beckett pose. They have got some monsters in that forward pack. They put boot to ball, nobody at home. Well, we've had a kick mistake from both teams. Hartpury missing the sticks, Leeds Beckett putting it out on the full. And these teams, they look and play like professionals, but sometimes you need to remember they're student rugby players and mistakes are going to creep in. The first one there for Steph James.
Yeah, I think these early exchanges will be key to how the game unfolds, but let's not forget this is Twickenham, this is a big day, and I think it'll take a little time for teams to settle down and perhaps get over the nerves.
Lovely line-out ball there. Angus Southern, the target. He calls the shots in the Hartpury line-out. Now Hartpury back on the ball, but Xavier Valentine trying to hold the man up here, needs to keep going forward for Hartpury. And Leeds Beckett win the penalty. We've just received news that it's Gary Dunman who will be coming in wearing the 23 jersey. The travelling replacement is going to get the opportunity to be a part of the Twickenham squad. What a moment for him.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you look at the Leeds Beckett side, you certainly get the feel that they have started with a particular fashion. You know, you look at the back row that they've selected today, it's very much perhaps a big physical team that they've looked to start with, and I think that's the approach that they're going to try and take. They're going to really try and take this forward battle on up front to Hartpury and see if that can bring them any change early on.
Yeah, the one that really stands out is Toby Francis at 7.
He is not a 7, Dave. He is massive.
He is massive. Got his first cap for Spain this year as well. Massive achievement for him. I had the chance to catch up with him, and he's really looking forward to launching an assault on future World Cups in the Spanish jersey. But Leeds Beckett do have 2 excellent 7s on the bench, Johan Visser and Tristan Lloyd, so they can certainly mix up the dynamic of that back row as this game progresses. There's Will Lewin, first touch for him, rangy winger. Goes looking for work, very similar to Chester Duff in that sense. Will be a real miss today. It's John Okafor. First carry for him, man of the match when Leeds Beckett beat Hartpury at Gilman's earlier in the season. In fact, they became the first team in the BUCS Super Rugby era to go back-to-back at the Gilmans.
That is some achievement, because there are very few sides that will go down to that Hartpury ground and consistently pick up the wins.
And that's been carried back in, so they'll just launch it up the park, and Steph James waits underneath it again, puts boot to ball. There's no right winger at home for Hartpury. Oh, and that's caused a bit of carnage as well. Now 5 metres out, Leeds Beckett, a kick's only as good as its chase, and they came herring up in the mint green jerseys. Hartpury with some questions to answer. Xavier Valentine calls some defenders to the open side.
Use it. It's over. Don't count.
Toby Venner boxes it clear, but they're still inside the 22.
And these, certainly when we were prepping for our game against Leeds Beckett, these were the sort of opportunities we were trying to avoid giving them. You know, we knew they were going to come with this big physical forward pack. Their driving line out is a big strength for their game. And, that was something that we felt we had to address in the preparation. So it'll be interesting to see how Hartpury look to defend these driving lineouts.
Throughout the season, both of these teams, despite their success, have been susceptible to a lack of concentration. Adrian Wadden, the preferred line-out option for Beckett, who start to get the drive on. Valentine there adds his weight at the back and then gets the ball latched under that right arm. It's not creeping forward particularly quickly. But now Hartpury have to trot back.
Still the same ball.
This looks very efficient, dangerously efficient. Daniel Grange on the ball, breaks up now. So first pass test by Hartpury, and that's a massive moment. 9 minutes in, it remains 0-0.
I think that, the strength that Leeds Beckett early on in that drive was the distance they kept, the length of their driving wall there really made it difficult for Hartpury to get into it. In that last little phase before Hartpury turned the ball over, they just shortened it up a little bit and got a little bit too close to Hartpury, brought them into it, and Hartpury then dealt with that very well. They'll be really pleased because that's a big moment in terms of stopping that first drive.
The same again, please.
We talk about Leeds Beckett's form, but Hartpury in a rich vein themselves. 5 victories in a row since a 14-13 reverse against Loughborough, the match that essentially cost them the league title. But in the knockouts, they managed to beat Bath, who'd beaten them twice in the league. Harry Wilson, as we mentioned, playing in his 3rd Twickenham final in succession. And Chamberlain puts boot to ball again, opts to keep it in field. Big collision there. Connor Lloyd. Oh, massive shot again. Expect there to be bags of those today. Lloyd digs again as we approach 10 minutes. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Good tackle there by Margetts. First time Leeds Beckett have really had the ball inside the Hartpury half as Xavier Valentine with the carry in the sunshine. Everyone stacked pretty narrow for Beckett until then, when Toby Francis with the 7 on his back certainly doesn't attack the ball like a 7. Off the short ball from Steph James, but tackling the man without the ball. And this will be a penalty for Leeds Beckett and a chance for Connor Lloyd to put them 3 points ahead.
If they go for the 3 points, Dave, they have had a tendency to kick to the corner, but you are right, they've appointed for goal. So earlier on in the season they were kicking a lot of these to touch to try and get that driving more going. Perhaps after that first initial stop they've decided to take those 3 points.
Connor Lloyd is a very successful goal kicker, 109 points this season, slightly lower in the percentage stakes than Nathan Chamberlain, 76, 40 goals from 55 attempts. And interestingly, in terms of tight games, Leeds Beckett have got better at closing them out.
You're right there, Dave, and I think I remember listening to the BUCS Stopshire podcast earlier in the year, and you pointed out that for a side with the size and quality that they had, they shouldn't be languishing at the bottom of the league, and they certainly proved that in the second half of the year.
Well, in the last 9 games, 5 of them have been decided by a score or less, as Connor Lloyd hits the post and it drops in. Oh, those are the margins we're dealing with here. Leeds Beckett 3, Hartpury 0. 1 missed penalty by Nathan Chamberlain, 1 in off the beans on toast by Connor Lloyd. But in the opening few games when Leeds Beckett were languishing round the bottom of the table, they had 5 games decided by a score or less, and they lost every single one of them. In this run, they've had 5 games decided by a score or less, 1 draw against your Cardiff Met team, the other 4 have been victories. There's certainly been a change in psychology in this Leeds Beckett side.
Well, speaking to Colin and Kerry, they've made it very clear in terms of the recruitment that they've done for the type of side and for what they want. They don't have necessarily a lot of undergraduate players. They're looking to those 3rd years, those postgraduate students, to really give them that competitive advantage. And you can see, having turned the corner, that they have really started to put that to good use. And you've got to say congratulations to Kerry and Colin on the way that they've gone about changing the side around.
They have done a fantastic job. Incidentally, they're not scoring any more points now than they were at the start of the season. They're just conceding a great deal less. There's Max Clemenson in the scrum cap with the carry. There's Luke Boone, another of the players who was involved last year. Chamberlain takes it to the line, has a little dart, doesn't quite get through but gets over the gain line. That's good quick ball as Toby Venner steps inside, finds Jack Johnson, And there's Caven. Scored the opening try in that defeat at the Gilmans when he stripped the ball off Xavier Valentine. Here's Biggs. Oh, Will Biggs has got through! That's the first try of the final!
And Leeds Beckett are going to be fuming. You've just made a statement around their defence and how that's been a big part of their progress moving forward. However, if they're going to defend like this in this Twickenham final, with the way Hartpury attack, they're going to be in for a long afternoon.
Well, Will Biggs, big shoes to fill in that number 2 jersey. Of course, the club captain, Will Crane, is the man we've become so accustomed to seeing in the hooker position. But if you can come up with big moments like that, then you have earned that jersey. The first try of the BUCS Super Rugby final goes Hartpury's way, and they lead Leeds Beckett 5 points to 3. Oh, look at that, it's a dummy, and he sent Johnny Teague to the shops.
He certainly did. Looked like Leeds Beckett were wrestling Spider-Man there with the agility he got to get over the line.
He'll be dining out on that forever, and rightfully so. Now Nathan Chamberlain, 1 miss already. This will take him up to 143 for the season. No mistake this time. Beautiful strike as we approach the 15-minute mark. Hartpury 7, Leeds Beckett 3.
Be really interesting now, Dave, to see how Leeds Beckett respond. You know, KG opening 10 minutes, and that was quite an easy try for Hartpury to get on the board. So be really interested now to see this Leeds Beckett team respond.
It's a high-hanging restart that they're going to compete for. And it's gone forward. Now scrum time should be interesting.
You got 2 of the perhaps informed tight heads of the league. You know, in Valentine, what you have is again a big man. But I'm a big fan of Gibson. You know, somebody who's got an experience of these Twickenham finals before. I think 2 previous finals. You know, an England student. He's always somebody that we're wary of when we're looking to plan our games and our game plans going into these games as a player to target for Hartpury.
Ryan Everly and Xavier Valentine both been involved with England students. 3 of the Leeds Beckett team in that England student squad. 5 on the standby list. They'll be touring France at the end of the season.
9, hold.
Well, that scrum's not going anywhere, is it? Dan Grange picks Connor Lloyd, goes round the blind side, tries to dart through. Excellent sniper is Connor Lloyd. John Cookham, captain for the scrum cap today. He's had a quiet 15 minutes. He's the kind of player who can just change the game almost when he decides to.
The ball's there.
Lloyd. Stephen James. Oh, that one's gone forward, or has it? Yeah.
And that was a tactic that you know, Leeds Beckett have certainly brought into the second half of the season, bringing the likes of your Will Lewins and your Chester Duffs off on the wing to try and bring them into the midfield. And that's where I think you're going to miss Chester today, and that's certainly for Leeds Beckett going to be interesting to see how they cope with that.
Chester Duff, their top try scorer this season, 7 tries. He is one of the players who's been selected for England students, so hopefully that injury will not affect him going on tour, because that would be a massive blow, not just for the team, but for him as well. We want all of these players to have the maximum experience they can of student rugby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go, boys, come on.
Another look at the set scrum. Didn't move last time. Hartpury with the put in this time.
Bind. Set.
Stacked up with Jack Johnson waiting in behind. Leeds Beckett just started to get a little bit of a shove on there. Perhaps that's something they will start to attack, is the Hartpury scrum.
Cleared out.
Now the chance to run from deep. Oh, slipping off tackles in the middle of the park. Leeds Beckett going too high. and being made to pay the price. Here's Chamberlain, dabs in, but too much on that one, and maybe that's an opportunity missed.
Yeah, I think, you know, there you saw the Robbie Smith come into the fore. If we start to see Hartpury speeding that ball up, getting that quick ruck speed and giving the ball into these sort of wider spaces, I think Leeds Beckett are going to be in trouble. They really need to slow that sort of ruck speed down and be able to get off the line and make those dominant tackles to bring their big guys into play.
We've talked about how big the Leeds Beckett pack is. There are some monsters in that Hartpury pack as well. Both of the props, Luke Boone and Alex Gibson, monsters.
Right, you're outside. Say more.
Approaching the quarter point. Leeds Beckett peel off the maul. There's Dan Grange.
Tackle! He's on his knees!
Rotherham Titans last season. Again, it's slow from Leeds Beckett. So Connor Lloyd puts boot to ball. It's going to be a tough take as well. Into the sand, and it's tapped back by Charlie Venables. We're in number 22, and now Toby Francis can carry again. Loves a midfield carry. Okafor waits. But more as a pivot than as a ball carrier at the moment as Ben Dixon. Oh, this is lovely handling from Leeds Beckett. Kieran Davis. Out to the left-hand side. So that's peeled out of the side, and I think Connor Lloyd has either caught an elbow or a shoulder there in that challenge. It didn't sound good.
Penalty back there.
Going back for a penalty advantage, but
There
was a challenge on the floor for the ball, and Connor Lloyd got a hand in, and I think he got the full weight of a Hartpury player coming through.
That's the side of the Leeds Beckett, I think, that took us by surprise in the quarter-final. We prepped for the, you know, the big scrum, the driving line out, and had done a lot of work there.
Keep your eye on Connor Lloyd there. It was 9 on 9, and yeah, his left arm was in an awkward position.
Yeah, but going back to it, it's something that we really looked to prep for it. I think what took us by surprise was the slightly more expansive side of the game that they brought in, you know, bringing these two wingers in, using their halfbacks to maybe put a bit of width on the ball, and that was a good passage of play for Leeds Beckett and starting to settle into the game now.
The ball just spilled up the side. Will Lewin. For a rangy winger, he really does have deceptively good feet. Very often gets inside the first man.
For me, it was just one in the field, 20 minutes.
And it has become a full court game with Leeds Beckett, hasn't it?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and I think they needed to. I think perhaps early on they were a little bit over-reliant on that, and I think that's probably where they went to first and got that aspect of their game right, which meant that they were constantly in these tight games. But it's perhaps the little subtleties that they brought in that have allowed them to perhaps develop their game and get through to this final here today.
We saw a shot of the Leeds Beckett forward replacements there. Johan Visser, Conrad Cade, Sam Theron, Tristan Lloyd, all excellent players. Conrad Cade's just been called up to the England student side. Covers loose head and hooker. Interestingly, Johan Visser, we know him as an open side flanker, but he's got 16 on his back, so maybe he's covering hooker as well.
Yeah, we'll just give him time. Gents, we're just waiting for the blood. Cheers, George, thank you.
What we do know with that Leeds Beckett bench is, you know, with the likes of Johan Visser and Tristan Lloyd and, you know, Conrad Cade, as we've talked about, there's a lot of strength to come on there. So, you know, I imagine they'll look to mix it up. Kerry's not afraid to use his replacements early, you know, with these 12 interchanges. I think that'll play a big part in the tactics of today's final. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
There is Gary Dunman with 23 on his back. Interestingly, after the injury, Connor Lloyd is back up on his feet, and he's going to have another pot at the sticks here in a very similar position to the one that he opened the scoring from. Hartpury 7, Leeds Beckett 3, 20 minutes gone. This BUCS Super Rugby final presented by Yoti, and there is a block of supporters over in that main stand on the halfway line, and they are small but mighty. They're making a heck of a racket.
That's one of the great things about this BUCS Super Rugby programme is, you know, wherever you go, the travelling support, the fans, the environments that you go to, the University Rugby really makes for these special occasions. Connor Lloyd, strapped up.
And scoring, 6 points for him, 6 points for Leeds Beckett, and they are back to within 1. That's a pretty hefty strapping he's got to that elbow.
You know, having lost Chester Duff so early in the warm-up, what you don't want to see them now is lose another key player, you know, in one of their captains, Connor Lloyd, a key player for them.
Chamberlain gets us back underway into the shadow on the far side, and again Hartpury putting the pressure on from that restart. Stays in field though. Taken over the shoulder by Chamberlain. Here's Harry Wilson up over the halfway line. Just puts all of his weight behind that, and here comes the clear out. There's Chamberlain once again. Spots the mismatch and gets inside Xavier Valentine, but there's somebody there to make the tackle. Dummy and go from Max Clementson. As Jomar gets it at first receiver. Chamberlain, grubber kick, charge down, but ends up back with Hartpury. We're going to struggle to find the ground here until it gets driven forward. But in Leeds Beckett's favour, if you carry the ball in high with the strength of their forward pack, you're going to be up against it.
Well, you know, like we say, you know, we're preparing players here for the top end of the game, and you're seeing guys go to professional rugby all the time from this BUCS Super Rugby programme. So it's no surprise to me to see some of the tactics we've seen in recent years in the Premiership and the Pro 14 starting to filter it down, and that sort of, you know, choke tackle started by Ireland a few years back is becoming very prevalent in the game at the moment.
23 minutes on our clock. Just a reminder that it is close, but it is a closest approximation. It's not linked in with the referees. So in a tight game like this, if the clock goes red and your team is winning, keep a lid on it, because there might still be a sting in the tail, as Danny Milton's Cardiff Met found out in the dying embers last year.
Don't go there, Dave. I'm still recovering from that moment.
Oh, it was a classic, an all-time classic.
Yeah, these occasions are special days, and you know, that's one of the things to consider today is how teams will deal with that occasion and deal with you know, the pre-game, how much emotion, how much energy is being used during the pre-game, the warm-up. It's a warm day out there. You know, well, we're seeing some things happening in the first 25 minutes. I know the last 20 minutes of the game is going to be really interesting as well.
Sure, the temperature is certainly something to be considered. It is a stunning day here in southwest London. There's Tom Williams and Charlie Venables puts boot to ball out, it slides off the side of the boot, slices straight into touch. And Venables, he's on early on here. It's an England student standby player.
How many?
And there was a space in behind. If the kick was well executed, it was the move. 25 minutes gone. Clean, quick line-out ball from Hartpury. Jomar gets, puts the short ball in. They go to one of the big bruisers, Alex Gibson. Tucks it up the jumper. Lovely footwork from Chamberlain. He just glides, doesn't he?
One of those players who looks like he's got a lot of time on the ball, you know, things happen around him, and that's a couple of times now he's used that really good footwork to get over the gain line.
So Navarrard securing the ball is Chamberlain again. Now could be a bit of space here for Hartpury to attack up over the halfway line. Again, stepping inside the man was Eli Caven. They go up the blind side. Oh, I think that could have gone there. Advantage for the knock-on. But Jomar gets, and Harry Wilson had space up the blind side. And it remains a one-point ball game.
Advantage over.
That's twice now we've seen that Hartpury from inside their own half are keeping hold of possession. They're looking to test this Leeds Beckett defence, and on two occasions now they've caught them narrow with their sort of quick ruck speed, and it'll be interesting to see how that progresses over the course of the game, because we know Hartpury do like to play, and Leeds Beckett are going to have to try and nullify that.
Oh, there's a gap, a beautiful ball from Chamberlain, and now the chance for Hartpury. Options outside, options inside, and Eli Caven is going to score their second try.
And once again, it's that man, Robbie Smith. You know, we highlighted him prior to the start of the game, and that is an electric break through the middle. He's got some good feet, and like I said earlier, the pleasing thing for me to see Robbie Smith, after having a tough first year, to take a couple of years out, really realise what he's about as a person, that maturity, and to see his performances over the last sort of 6 months and the way he's developed, he can be really proud of himself, and that's a great break. And you know, holds the ball up well for Eli Caven to get over the line.
Eli Caven scored in the first match against Leeds Beckett this season. But look at this break, and look at the wherewithal he's got here to just slow down, put the brakes on. Knew he wasn't getting around Kieran Davis. Had options both sides.
You know, slowing slowing that tempo up as he did there, almost left Kieran running on custard, trying to catch up with Eli there. It was, it was well worked.
Guys, can you send off
Nathan Chamberlain
22 from Leeds when you get a chance for the reversals?
knocking on 150 points. One missed penalty, one successful conversion, and now a chance to take Hartpury more than a converted score ahead for the first time in the match. Beautiful. That would have gone inside posts, within posts.
If he survives the 2 clean-ups, if he picks it up.
BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Hartpury 14, Leeds Beckett 6. Robbie Smith off a lovely ball from Nathan Chamberlain. And it was just literally seconds before that you were saying, we know exactly what Hartpury like to do. They like to play rugby. And almost on cue, they arrived with that.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because, you know, Leeds Beckett are going to have to combat this. They're going to have to perhaps not compete so heavily at the ruck. They're going to have to get numbers on feet. They're going to have to get better width their defence in order to allow them to combat in this game.
And again, they're running the ball from inside their own 22, and I think that could have gone early. And again, it's quick ball, and Ben Dixon sent backwards after the collision.
Take it in.
Chamberlain, crossfield. Here's Kieran Davis. Dangerous counter runner, puts boot to ball. And Chamberlain's back there. Returns it with interest, but the ball's staying alive. So at the moment, the forwards just running shuttles in the middle of the park. There's Elliot Ward on for Leeds Beckett in the headband, making an impact already. He's another one who's been called into the England student setup, as has Xavier Valentine, who trundles forward there. Connor Lloyd. Well, Hartpury looking for the turnover there, and they've got it. Oh, that's a massive play. Huge play. Well, they really are coming to the final now. No one's home. But no real chase from Hartpury. And Irvin Murick stayed down there, and now he takes it. Irv the swerve, 12 tries this season, brings Jack Johnson into the game. Rainbow pass out wide. And Robbie Smith draws the tackle. Full width of the pitch now for Hartpury to work with.
You get the feeling that Hartpury have really come in with a game plan here. They want to move this big Leeds Beckett side around. They want to really test their movement out. Are they prepared to?
Well, Johnson into the 22, wants the offload, can't find it. Elliot Ward making an important tackle. A try saver there as Angus Southon trundles forward, the busy second rower. Max Clementson, bang in front of the sticks, 15 metres out. Options both sides for Hartpury. They go into the shade. Chamberlain inside to Tom Everard. Here's Clementson in at scrum half. Hartpury's intensity is unrivaled in this match so far. And now it settles down. You can hear the collisions down the referee's mic as the clock ticks past half an hour. Short ball trying to send Robbie Smith through. He gets the leg drive going. Oh, important tackle, massive tackle from Adrian Wadden, but it's back with Hartpury. And the relief doesn't last long because Max Clementson gets the third try. It looked as though Wadden had snuffed out the danger. But how often does the bouncing ball cause carnage? Max Clementson, the first to react, and it's Hartpury 19, Leeds Beckett 6.
Yeah, as I was saying, Hartpury have come into this game. You can clearly see they want the ball on the field. They're trying to play with a tempo. They want to move this big Leeds Beckett side around. It's a big pitch at Twickenham. I think people underestimate that before they come here. And at the moment, Leeds Beckett are struggling to adjust to this.
Well, it's a perfectly executed game plan. Great awareness again from Clementson. As soon as he got his hands on the ball, he freed the right hand, looked to see if the offload was an option. Then a space opened up. And Chamberlain makes no mistake with the conversion. After that first penalty miss, he has been flawless. It's 3 tries to Hartpury, none for Leeds Beckett, and they lead 21-0.
And, you know, I think it's very much evident to the way Sean Lynn approaches the game and, you know, the programme that they do at Hartpury. They play with ball in hand. They have that intent that really does put teams under pressure. And while Sean Lynn might not be a man of size, he certainly brings everything to his coaching.
Of all the people to crack a height joke.
It's open play.
Just so we're aware, I am taller than Sean.
Prove it. Anyway, Leeds Beckett desperate for a response before half-time. 15 points down.
Tackle!
Looking to go 12 matches undefeated. Going to go all the way from the bottom of the table to the championship rounds. Dan Grange. Here's Okafor, who's been quiet for 33 minutes here. He's the kind of player they need more from. Steph James, oh, that's the kind of offload they need. Has that gone forward? Oh, yes, it has. Yes, it has. Kieran Davis.
It's a couple of times now, you know, when Leeds Beckett have perhaps altered their approach and started to lift the tempo up, they've certainly created some opportunities.
This is what Steph James does really well. Perhaps there was a bit of crossing there, but just attacks the line and frees the hands. If that sticks in the breadbasket, then it's a different story.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see now, 21-6 down. You know, what Leeds Beckett have got to remember is there's another 50 minutes in this game, and you know, spending time in the opposition half, trying to build their way back into this is going to be important to them.
Well, regular followers of BUCS Super Rugby will know that Hartpury raced to an early lead last season. They had that lead eroded and superseded before winning it.
It's out the tunnel.
When the clock was red, will we have such drama here today in the sunshine?
Take the same.
Just over 5 minutes to go until half-time. This BUCS Super Rugby final presented by Yoti. And it's been about as perfect a 35 minutes as Hartpury could have hoped for.
Yeah, but what we must remember is, you know, these things can happen. You know, from personal experience, we went into half-time last year, 20 points to 3 down. So it's about now focusing on the next minute. It's about focusing on what you can do, that next job, and get those little wins, and all of a sudden you can find your way back into a game.
Well, Conor Lloyd makes the tackle on Harry Wilson there, so no meters made for Hartpury. Now they have to clear.
Release! It's taken in.
Chamberlain can't put this one out directly, so again chooses to keep it in field. That's been a definite tactic from the kicking point of view for Hartpury. They don't want the ball to go dead. Oh, that could be trouble. Toby Venner taken out in the air.
He's in there.
Now that's what they've got to avoid, you know, because those sorts of things will change the momentum of the game. Those cheap, needless penalties. There was nothing in that, and you know, he's taking him in the air. You've got to look after people. That's a clear penalty.
Well, Kieran Davis has shrugged his shoulders at the referee there, as if in a state of disbelief that he's given the penalty. Now, he put his arms out and didn't necessarily commit to the challenge, but that's probably the reason why it wasn't a yellow card, as opposed to a reason why it isn't a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a definite penalty. You've got to look after people in the air. It's a big part of the game. You know, that health and safety side of things is massive, and, you know, there's no doubt on that. That's a clear penalty.
Not straight.
Not straight.
Not straight.
You can get nowhere near that.
But Hartpury with some quite clear tactics here. From the line out, quick ball off the top. From the clearance kicks, keep it in play. They want to keep the tempo high.
Yeah, you know, if Ian Gardner here, my fellow colleague, he'd be over the moon with this start. So, yeah, and Hartpury definitely have implemented that game plan. They've come here today, they've prepped well, and they're going to be going in at half-time saying more of the same.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Stay. Use.
Grange to Lloyd on the wraparound. Oh, excellent tackle, and that doesn't quite break loose to Robbie Smith. Thought that might have gone forward, but Hartpury getting the benefit of the doubt, and they too. Oh, lovely Demi. Chamberlain gets damp tackled inside the 22. Oh, and that's another penalty now. I think Hartpury have got away with a knock-on further up the pitch, but got cut off in my prime by a piece of glorious handling from Nathan Chamberlain.
Yeah, he really does make them tick, doesn't he? You know, all the good things that are happening today are coming around, and the players running off him. And again, the players running off him opened up the hole for Nathan to go through.
Jack, Bob, 2 minutes.
Yes.
Here he goes there, just looking for options. Better defence from Beckett this time, and a good tackle from Kieran Davis. I do apologise, it was the Leeds Beckett penalty, not the Hartpury, so they can clear. And Will Routledge with the line out. Important period of play this now for Leeds Beckett. They have made a change. Sam Theron has come on wearing number 18, and they've brought Johan Visser on as well.
Yeah, it's something that Kerry's done all year. It's a ploy that they look to do just to make sure that they get these guys on the field.
And with that, they've really butchered that line out. Sometimes when you bring forwards on at the line out, they're not quite in with the flow of the game. And they've coughed up possession there as Robbie Smith carries into contact. So the chance gone for Hartpury. Can they see out the rest of the half without the ledger being altered? Tom Williams, big tackle from the 13.
Off your feet now! No. Thank you.
Chamberlain. As Robbie Smith puts some width on it to Clementson into the 22, the scorer of the third try. They've done well
Tackle!
to push Gibson back there. Laws of physics state that he usually goes forward. Wilson. There's Jack Johnson. It's scrappy. It has been coughed up.
First knock on. 1 second.
Better defence that time from Leeds Beckett, though. Hartpury keeping the tempo high, and on that occasion Beckett matched them.
Yeah, and that's something they're going to have to do. Like we talked about earlier, you know, they're going to have to try and, where they can, slow that ruck speed down. They're going to have to try and get more width to the defence. They're going to have to get off the line to allow them to bring those big physical dominant collisions that will allow them to get some turnovers. You know, my concern is going into half-time, Hartpury are going to be there looking at, you know, more of the same. They're going to keep this strategy of keeping the ball on the park. They're going to try and run these guys around. They're playing with that tempo. Leeds Beckett going to have to make a decision now at half-time. They're going to alter their approach. How are they going to come out in the second half, change things up? It's going to be a real test of Kerry and Collins coaching now at half-time.
Just to apologise for the replacement that I announced earlier. It's Conrad Cade wearing number 18. Johan Visser wearing 17. And this will be,
Time's up once we stopped for the time.
as we've just heard the referee say there, the last attack or the last opportunity of the half. I wonder if Leeds Beckett will want to have a run at it, or they'll just put the ball dead, get into the sheds and reset.
Yeah, I think it probably, you know, where they are positioned on the field, best thing for them to do would be to get off now at half-time, score as it is, regroup, and really think through their strategy for this second 40 minutes.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Oh, they're going to have a go at it, are they? Oh, no. Thought when that ball went to first receiver, We might see something magic from Stephen James, but he hammers it into the stands. It takes us to half-time. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. 3 tries and they've all gone to the champions. It's Hartpury 21, Leeds Beckett 6. Danny Milton, your thoughts on that opening 40 minutes?
Well, I think firstly you've got to go hats off to Hartpury. They've come in, they've prepped well, they've come in with their plan, they're keeping the ball on the field, they're keeping the tempo high, they're moving this big Leeds Beckett side around, and it's working for them. And if they come out in the second half and do the same, well, I suppose what I'm really interested in is what's going to be said now at half-time. What changes are Leeds Beckett going to make to get themselves back into this game? Because otherwise, I think Hartpury could run away with it.
Some important words to be said by Kerry Wood and Colin Stevens. Half-time here at Twickenham. Hartpury 26, Leeds Beckett 6. And we'd like to take this opportunity to thank our title sponsors, Yoti, for their fantastic work and their wonderful support of this brilliant championship.
It was so much easier because I had already set up on the app about 3 months ago actually when it first came to the island.
I really like how simple it was to use.
It's the kind of convenience we want in this modern age that we live in.
Like you don't really want to carry your passport around all night now, you're always going to have a phone on you.
The convenience to be able to go up and get my phone and just scan a thing.
It's just easier, you have all your stuff in one place.
It makes life a lot easier when you're trying to prove your age and quite versatile as well.
Thanks once again to Yoti for their brilliant support of this competition. What a brilliant opening 40 minutes it's been, particularly if you're a player or supporter of Hartpury. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the opening exchanges. 3 tries for Hartpury, none for Leeds Beckett. And this is the first of them, and I think Leeds Beckett will have been disappointed with this one.
Yeah, I think, you know, we talked about how they've really improved their defence in the second half of the year, and it was early on in the game, and it was a real soft score to give away.
This is a really good angle. I mean, make no mistake, it was a lovely dummy from Will Biggs, but Johnny Teague would have wanted to eat him up from there. That was a great opportunity to put a shot on. Instead, you've got a front rower throwing a dummy at first receiver and going in at Twickenham.
Yeah, and if you look at the side that Leeds Beckett have picked, the big physical men, they would have wanted to get off the line and really dominate these collisions early on in the game, and that hasn't happened, and that must have been a blow.
In fact, it wasn't just the sidestep, it was the fend as well. Adrian Wadden, that's 2 big men he's got rid of there. This was the second try, all about the ball from Chamberlain, the break from Smith. This is what we're used to seeing from Hartpury over the years.
Very much so. You know, the style of play, the way that they approach things, you know, that's very much a traditional, you know, Hartpury score where they, you know, they are looking to put width on the game. But I think hats off here to Nathan Chamberlain. A couple of kicks perhaps haven't gone quite the way that he would have wanted to, but his time on the ball and the way he gets runners to come off him, the depth that he's happy to hold, and then to see Robbie Smith go through, you know, with the pace that he's got, the strength that he's got, and he brings the winger onto his shoulder really, really well.
Well, you talked about maturity as something that's come into him both personally and as a rugby player. Do you think in the past he might have pinned his ears back and tried to go himself?
Yeah, I think it's more for me. It's more to do with the way Robbie's probably developed as a person under that, you know, under the tutelage of the Hartpury coaches, and yeah, perhaps so. And he definitely, you know, that was a team effort and a team decision for him to bring that winger on to score the try.
Well, this is the 3rd try. Max Clementson got it. We thought that Adrian Wadden had snuffed out the danger, but as is so often the case, the open side flanker, the first on the bouncing ball. Another finish where Leeds Beckett just weren't quite to the races. Not much they could have done there, but look how many green shirts were around.
Yeah, and you know, if we reflect back on the women's fixture earlier on today, and we were looking at these the big standout players for some of these teams, and you know, if I'm looking back over the course of that half, you know, some of those big name players, your Chamberlains, your Smiths, your Gibsons, the Clemensons, they've had some big 40 minutes there. And if we look on the Leeds Beckett side, perhaps some of the players that we really thought would step up and, you know, be the big players, the Okafors, you know, unfortunately they lost Chester Duff, the Connor Lloyds, you know, the Valentines. We've just not seen enough of them.
Well, they've got 40 minutes to put it right. It's 21 points to 6. We're counting down to the second half, but first, let's hear from Joe Burns.
Well,
Well, welcome back down to Pitside, everybody. And in a league of starlets, there is always one star that shines brightest. And this season is Cardiff Met's Luke Northmore, the centre impresario, who scored a hatful of tries and is capped it off by signing for Harlequins. That's where you're going to be playing your rugby next season.
Yeah, I can't wait. You know, it's been a dream come true, and this BUCS Super Rugby League's kind of, you know, opened up a pathway for a lot of boys to go on and do that. So I'm chuffed, really am.
Well, you come through the Cardiff Met system along with another alumni, Alex Dombrandt, who's already at Quins, and boy is he tearing it up at the moment.
Yeah, he's doing remarkably well. I'm unsure that, you know, I'm going to follow in those exact footsteps of him, because he's an exceptional player. But yeah, I'm really excited to be, you know, joining a club with one of my best mates, and hopefully that may continue for a long time.
Well, his progression, and yours indeed, speaks volumes about the league itself, but also Cardiff Met and the programme that Danny Milton's running there.
Yeah, it's massive. You know, every interview everyone asks about how Cardiff, the reason you go to play rugby, and Cardiff Met's done wonders for me. You know, it's progressed me as a player, and it's allowed me to go and pursue a dream. And you know, the programme Danny and everyone runs there, you know, I can't thank them enough. And you know, it really is a good programme.
Well, you've been fantastic all season, but I want to get your thoughts on today's final. Obviously, Cardiff Met were in a similar position to Leeds Beckett, trailing by almost an identical scoreline last year. You came flying out the traps last year and so nearly won it. What advice would you have for the Beckett boys in the sheds at the moment?
I think it's just keep composure, really. You know, we went into half time. You know, we were definitely in the same position as Leeds Beckett, and it's easy to get in the mindset that Hartpury are going to keep the ball rolling, but it just all it takes is one score. You know, it took one score and, you know, and a few good line breaks and a bit of momentum, and it really does change.
There you go. There's certainly hope for Beckett, but Hartpury, a very, very difficult customer to topple when they're at Twickenham. Well, I spoke about your excellent play throughout the season, and you have been voted the BUCS Player of the Season. So I'm going to invite Vince Main, who's the CEO of BUCS, to present you with this prestigious plaque in acknowledgement of your season that you've had, capped off, of course, with that contract for Quinn. So, Luke Northmore, the BUCS Player of the Season.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Luke. So, we're going to get an opportunity to invite Pash as well. So, last year's winning captain for Hartpury. Let's get a sense of what's going to be going through the Hartpury boys' minds. As I said, we're almost at an identical scoreline. The game isn't won, though, is it?
I know, looking at that scoreline there brings back a few memories. But I'm sure there's a few nerves going on in the change rooms, but I'm sure there's a few wise words as well, especially from Will Biggs and Will Crane and those boys, keeping the nerves down. But there's been some fantastic performances out there, particularly Robbie Smith and Irvin the Swerve.
Yeah, Irv the Swerve and Robbie Smith doing a bit of damage there. But what do you make of that first half? Leeds Beckett have looked threatening when they've been attacking, but they've slipped off a few tackles. They'll probably be disappointed with their defence.
Yeah, I think particularly Leeds have gone to the 22, but sometimes haven't come away with points, whereas Hartpury, thankfully, have come away with points when they've got into that red zone.
All right, plenty to play for in the second half. We're going to throw you back up to Dave, and he's going to fill you in on the BUCS Team of the Year.
Thank you very much, Joe. Always great to hear from Tom Pashley, former winning captain, and great to see Luke Northmore, a charge of yours, Danny, become the Player of the Year. Speaking of Players of the Year, we have the Team of the Year here, as voted for by you coaches. What do you make of what it's come up with? A real mix, but some incredible talent from 1 to 15.
Very much so, and you know, if I can just make a brief mention just to congratulate Luke Northmore and you know, wish him all the best. He's been a fantastic servant for Cardiff Met and a great award, fully deserved. But when you look across that Team of the Year, there's some fantastic players in there, you know, and there's some good players who've been left out. You know, I think you know, when you look through the team, Gibson today has gone really well. Tom Doughty, a big favourite of the buck stop here, and a try-scoring hero for Bath. So, you know, alongside Jack Davis and Kenningham, and I think that's just reward for Bath, who really, outside of that semi-final against Hartpury, were one of the teams to watch.
And Tom Doughty, of course, injured his shoulder as Bath side-swept Durham. Fingers crossed he'll be back on the mend and continuing his rugby journey. Pierre Thompson and Sam Morley, the Exeter halfbacks as well. They couldn't get to Twickenham once more, but what a fantastic league season Exeter had. Yeah,
and we shouldn't pay lip service to that. You know, this is a fantastic day, and what a great day out, and the culmination of the entire year. But when you look now at Exeter's programme and the fact that they've won this BUCS Super Rugby League 2 years on the trot, I don't think that can be looked at, you know, or sniffed at, because it's a great achievement. Because, you know, to win those games when teams are as strong as they are, week in, week out, and to keep bringing that performances. It was down to the half-back performances at times, their pragmatic, disciplined approach, and justifiably selected there.
And of course, another word on Luke Northmore. He's there in the Team of the Year and he's the Player of the Year, and it is the pathway these days, isn't it? Cardiff Met, Harlequins. What a great news for you, great news for him, and another fantastic coup for the club.
Yeah, we have toyed with the idea of becoming the Cardiff Met Quins, and we're really proud, and the way Alex Dombrandt has settled into that environment is fantastic, I think, for us, but also recognition of this fantastic BUCS Super Rugby League.
Well, it's not just a 15, it's a 23, and unbelievable that players like Nathan Chamberlain, Chester Duff, David Williams, Paul Scroto, well, in fact, any one of those could have been in the Team of the Year. Player that I really like on that bench there, Fitz Harding at Durham. There's something brilliantly swashbucklingly old school about him. I've really enjoyed him. What about that bench? Is there anyone there who's really impressed you this season?
You've alluded to one of the players. He was in my Team of the Year, Fitz Harding at Durham again. You're looking for these players in that Team of the Year. You're looking for those standout players who have those key moments in games. Luke was one of those very much for us, and I felt Fitz Harding was exactly the same for Durham.
Hartpury come out protecting a 15-point lead in a very similar position to they were this time last year. Sometimes it's easier for a coach to give a team talk when the team are trailing, but Kerry Wood and Colin Stevens really will have had to put the fear of God into these boys, because they've got 40 minutes to change something serious, otherwise they'll be going home as valiant losers.
Yeah, these are the exciting times for me. We were very much in a similar situation like I mentioned to last year, and I think the way the players respond to this, the way the coaches and players interact in that half-time, they can make some significant changes and hopefully get themselves back into it.
Tom Everard claims the restart. And you feel as though it's going to be the same story for Hartpury. Tempo is going to be key. If they can keep it intense, if they've got the conditioning to keep the pace up, then Leeds Beckett are really going to struggle. And here is Everard once again, just looking out to see if there are any changes. We've got Sam Theron on, wearing number 16, also Dan Grant Adamson wearing number 21 in the back line, so Kerry Wood has rung the changes. Maybe he's going to fight fire with fire and make it more dynamic, which is exactly what Gary Dunman is doing here. Oh, and he gets the hands away too. This is the start that Leeds Beckett wanted. Will Lewin into the 22. Oh, he's bailed into touch. He thinks he scored, but the assistant referee had his flag up early, and that is a massive moment. And a game-saving tackle there from Toby Venner.
And I think credit must go to the 9 there for, great cover tackle. And, that's a critical moment because Leeds Beckett get themselves a bit of momentum, changes the face of the game. If Hartpury now can clear from here, that is a massive, massive opportunity missed.
Stay 5-9.
Well, you talked about Leeds Beckett's full-court game. That's the first time we've really seen it. And Hartpury looking to run it out from their own 22. Come on, that's a big shot. Tristan Lloyd is on, so the full bench has been emptied by Leeds Beckett. And a good exit takes them up just shy of the 10-metre line.
Yeah.
So let's try and count the replacements here. So Cade Theron
How many?
are on, as is Johan Visser. He's in the man bun at the back of the line out. We've still got the same half-back, so Connor Lloyd and Stephen James. Changes in the middle of the park. Dan Grant Adamson. Will Lewin is still there. Ben Dixon in the headband. But Gary Dunman, who was the last-minute replacement for Chester Duff, is on the park and already making an impact. John Okafor changed the game almost single-handedly in that Gilman's ground victory. Pretty anonymous in the first half. Spent more time at first receiver than he did as a ball carrier. Here is Will Lewin looking for work around the outside of Eli Caven, who recovers to make the tackle. Dunman's the first man there for Beckett. James has a little dummy but doesn't get any change out of Will Hopman. There's the pick and go. So plenty of that from these high-energy back rows that Leeds Beckett have brought on in the second half. There's Kieran Davis in at first receiver. It's Elliot Ward.
No.
So it is the full bench on for Leeds Beckett. It's Tristan Lloyd. Those of you who've been watching throughout the season will remember Tristan's stint on co-commentary when Exeter defeated Leeds Beckett up at Headingley. A fantastic job on the new ground there. Hopefully it becomes a regular fixture in the BUCS Super Rugby season as Okafor out of the back door. That's what we need to see from him. And he's first to it then, a metre short, John Okafor. The first glimpse of the game changer we've become accustomed to seeing. Leeds Beckett agonisingly close. Going narrow, over the line, and scores.
Well, Dave, I've got no doubt, I think John must have an earpiece in. He was listening to you saying he'd been absent for the first half, and we talked about those game breakers, and that's an example of it. You know, John has come to the fore there and really built some good momentum for that.
He's done it so many times this season. He's been anonymous, and then out of nowhere, he can change a game, he can win a game.
And that's a real big moment for Leeds Beckett. You know, we're 5 minutes in, and all of a sudden now, they're on a high. They're right back in this. They're going to feel that if they can keep their hands on the ball, they can look after the ball a bit better than they did in the first half, and see that set-piece dominance hopefully come to the fore. Then they're going to, you know, they're going to feel like they can really come back into the game.
Well, it was Johan Visser who got the try. I didn't recognise him because his ponytail had fallen out. And Stephen James is on kicking duty. Adds the extras. Game on. Leeds Beckett 13, Hartpury 21.
We talked about you know, Chester Duff and the player that he has, and you know, I think mention there must go in the build up to that try, the work of Will Lewin. You know, he had the run down the one hand where the 9, great tackle there from Venner to stop that try, but then he's coming off his wing, he's working for the ball, and he's giving them a little bit of momentum in their game, and you know, that certainly helped them start to get those forward carries and that momentum in the game.
Just watch Visser join late here. Sorry, not it was Visser. Change their shirt numbers, Danny. Terrible drills. Hartpury comes straight back, winning the penalty. Leeds Beckett holding on for too long. And it's often the best time to strike, isn't it, after you've just conceded?
Well, this would be a blow for Leeds Beckett, having you know, got themselves right back into it. You know, their big game players starting to show up. You know, and again, a cheap penalty that they've given away, and it's changed the momentum of the game again. And like you want to see them hold out here for this to become a contest again.
Ollie Adkins on as a replacement for Hartpury. Lifting there as they go to the back. It goes down early, but an advantage coming.
You've sacked the lifter. 19.
And they will not want to give away too many penalties in quick succession.
You can't tackle
because the last thing they want is to go down to 14 men.
Now that's an interesting call. You know, 3 points on offer there. You know, but I suppose what they're looking at here, they get that driving maul set up again. You know, either they go over the line or perhaps Leeds Beckett give away another penalty, and then you're starting to look at a yellow card.
6.
There was the Northampton Saints game a couple of weeks ago where they ended up with 11 players on the park in a similar position to this, giving away penalties at scrums, giving away penalties at lineouts, and the referee couldn't bring his card out quick enough as Hartpury goes short to the front of the line and drive towards the whitewash. They think they've got it. They reel away celebrating, and it's time for a chat. The chat didn't last long, and Hartpury straight back on the score sheet.
Yeah, that's going to be a big blow because, you know, Leeds Beckett had just got themselves back into it, and you know, that reinforces this idea of, you know, discipline and how important that is. That silly penalty they gave away just outside the 22 from the kickoff has given Hartpury a way back into the game.
Well, we talked about tempo. In fact, it's about all we've talked about. Ollie Adkins wheeling away there, he knew. But it's not just in open play, it's from the line out too. They got straight in, they set it, they went to the front and they were round. It was one off the training ground. and it was incredibly effective. Oh, we'll get a great view of this. Nathan Chamberlain, 3 successful conversions. Do you know what? He should get that picture framed. But only if he kicks it. Which he does. Flawless conversions, 4 tries.
You know, I think the exciting thing when we're watching these games is you talk about him, you know, framing that photo. Who knows, he might be back here in a few years' time with Scotland, kicking a conversion for Scotland, having that exact same photo. And, you know, that's some of the special things that are happening within this BUCS Super Rugby League.
And in years gone by, that would have seemed ridiculous to say that about a university player, but just got to look at the likes of Sam Skinner, who got man of the match for Scotland against Fiji, Aaron Wainwright, who was part of the Welsh Grand Slam winning squad. We've mentioned Alex Dombrandt already and his success at Harlequin. Surely it's only a matter of time until he gets the England call-up.
Well, you know, we certainly hope so, and you know, probably while waiting for this kick, it's probably time to mention, you know, the work that, you know, not just Yoti, fantastic sponsors of the league, but the work that the camera crew and you guys have done, Joe, yourself, and Dave, to bring this fantastic product alongside BUCS. You know, there's a lot of things around this that are very exciting at the moment, and it's because of the exposure we're getting.
I've spent the last couple of weeks, as you know, because I've seen you at some of them, at a lot of schoolboy rugby, so Rosslyn Park 7s and Sedbergh 10s, and the standard's brilliant, and I have been talking to anybody who will listen about BUCS Super Rugby, something that I look forward to every week, and long may it continue. Half an hour of this final left. Hartpury 28, Leeds Beckett 13. One off the training ground again. It worked for Hartpury, but not for Beckett this time. Will Routledge halfway through the gap. There is Okafor. And we're weary of him, so Hartpury send 2 defenders forward. Oh, now legs above the head. What's going to be the decision here? Well, no advantage coming. Goodness me.
No.
Well, I was thinking, what colour's the card going to be? But instead, Leeds Beckett come forward and reach for the line. Elliot Ward off the bench and onto the score sheet. Hartpury 28, Leeds Beckett 18, and this final is alive.
And that's what we want to see, you know, Leeds Beckett again. I'm really pleased with the way they responded to Hartpury getting over the line, with the way that they've got back into it. Kickoffs have been critical. It's been interesting to see that Hartpury got that early dominance from Leeds Beckett not taking theirs. Straight off the kickoff, Hartpury then regained possession and score. Leeds Beckett kickoff, and all of a sudden, something a simple aspect of the game like kickoffs is having a big impact on this game.
That's a brilliant finish from Ward as well. He's one of the men who's been called into the England students team, so Daz Fern will be delighted with finishing like that.
And I'd be interested to have a little look at that tackle again, Dave. That was a big moment in the game, and you know, with the laws as they are now, I would really be interested to take another look at that, because you know, there's potential use. Oh, here we go.
Well, these were the phases in the build-up, and Leeds Beckett's tempo has been completely different. Well, Max Clemenson can consider himself very lucky there. Not only have the legs flipped up, but there were no hands in the tackle.
Yeah, no arms there. You know, you could say that he's landed on his side rather than his head or his neck, but you'd definitely be looking at a yellow card there, and that'll be an interesting one for Kerry and Colin to think about, and you know, their response to that as well.
Well, Leeds Beckett have had their own disciplinary issues this season. The first time these teams met this season, Jordan Liney and Connor Lloyd were both given their marching orders in a tempestuous affair. Oh, and a bit of confusion. Now Leeds Beckett with their tails up. Irvin Murick and Eli Caven. Breakdown in communication.
Didn't touch it, just bounced.
Well, rugby's a funny old game, and Hartpury for a long passage of this game have dominated, and all of a sudden now, as the game moves towards its conclusion with this last 20 to 30 minutes, how people deal with the pressure, how people deal with the critical incidents will be a big factor on the end result.
Now, have Hartpury got away with one there? Because I thought that came off Caven and went into touch, but the referee's assistant was in a great position as Chamberlain takes the ball to the line. And we can't forget that even though Leeds Beckett are closing the gap, Hartpury can score from anywhere on the park.
Number 17.
And it is another penalty.
Cheers, George.
You know, as this game moves towards its conclusion, and Leeds Beckett have done fantastic to bring themselves back in with a chance of gaining this title. These 3-4 penalties now that have crept into the game, needless penalties, are actually critical moments in terms of giving Hartpury just that little bit of breathing space and momentum that they need.
Well, that was a miss-hit penalty. I did think I'd not seen a spiral kick for quite some time. Oh, and then we've just seen them back-to-back. There we go. But we talk about Leeds Beckett mistakes. Fancy missing touch. Good clearance nudge, though, from Kieran Davis, the fullback. And this has got the suggestion of a real cup final now, isn't it?
Yeah, we were, looking at half-time, wondering what was going to happen at the start of this second half, and fair dues, Leeds Beckett have come back out. They've started to get themselves into the game, and I'm sure we're up for an exciting finish.
Hartpury, 2 tries conceded in the second half. There's Irvin Murick. He's been a match winner for them this season. He's been quiet so far. Tristan Lloyd's been in there causing carnage, and he's won the penalty for Leeds Beckett.
And all of a sudden, the big sort of physical Leeds Beckett side is starting to get their way into it. I'm starting to see a few more dominant collisions. I'm starting to see them get off the line a little bit quicker. I'm starting to see them slow up a little bit of Hartpury's ball. And all of these things are making sure that they've got a chance of getting in there. Although if people keep missing touch, that's going to have a factor too.
Well, I think what they've done by bringing on the likes of Visser and Tristan Lloyd is given themselves a genuine turnover option, whereas you perhaps don't have that with Teague, Francis and Grange, who are excellent players around the field, great defensively, but in terms of securing that ball and getting over that ball, they don't really offer you that in the same way that Lloyd and Visser do.
Yeah, and we spoke about that before the game, about the selections, and what you will have mind is you'll have these guys on to finish the game. Perhaps that's where Kerry sees perhaps that strategy working, is getting these guys on to finish the game.
John Okafor loves attacking just in behind that ruck area, and it really does come to fruition for him very often as Eli Caven looks to get his skates on and gets the inside ball backwards, pumps the legs up over halfway. 1 try for him already. He'd love to add to that tally.
No, 17. No. Thank you.
And this is lung-busting stuff from both teams.
Okay, well done.
Inside ball to Joe Margetts. Alex Gibson with a little dummy in midfield. Finds Harry Wilson, who some might say is lucky to still be on the pitch. There's Everard.
Stay there.
All stacked on the blind side for Hartpury. As the crowd find their voice, there's an amazing noise here in Twickenham. Leeds Beckett 14-7 to the good in this second stanza. As Will Biggs is unceremoniously shoved off, and I think Leeds Beckett might have got hands on this again. Yes, they have.
A few challenges off the ball at the moment, Dave, that are not being noticed by the team of 3, and I think we need to get a grip of some of these off the ball challenges that are happening at the moment.
Well, at the breakdown, Leeds Beckett have totally transformed the dynamic of this game. Oh, I thought they'd missed the touch with the penalty again. Just about getting there. Well, we complimented the camera guys earlier, but take a look at this. That's Ezra. Oh, and he caught the camera as well, which is just as well, because he'd have been paying for that for a long time.
Save of the day.
Well, Ezra, he took one in the face for England rugby recently, but when you see those great shots, the close-ins for the kickers, it's invariably Ezra who does it. He is a real asset to the team. So well held, Big Ez, and keep up the good work, top man. Leeds Beckett trying to get the offload game going. It's not clean, but Will Routledge can take it in. There's Dan Grant Adamson. There's Visser on the crash ball. Might be moved into a possible hooker option, because dare I say it, he might be enjoying student life in Leeds. Lovely offload though, Kieran Davis. Yeah, Visser's definitely been bulking, not sulking. Okafor trying to hit the line. Will Biggs with the chop tackle, but this great ball here. Great opportunity for Beckett to build and get themselves within a few points that seemed a long way away when the half-time whistle went. It's a little bit slow, so they're going to have to work hard to try and create gaps. And at the moment, the red wall stands tall.
Move 13! Ball's there.
Robbie Smith called out of the way by the referee.
No.
Has that gone forward?
We talked about it in the women's game earlier about this idea of ruck speed, and you know, when we've started to see Leeds Beckett get into the game and get these big forward carriers dominating and starting to make the gain line, get over the gain line, it's been down to the speed of ball from the scrum half, picking up the tempo, getting these big men, not letting Hartpury settle. And if you looked at just the ruck previous to that one, instead of getting the ball away quickly, they sat on the ball. It gave Hartpury just that little bit of time to get that width in defence, get off the line, shut them down, and it ended up in a turnover. Leeds Beckett have got to try to keep that ruck speed up.
Sun's still beating down here. Oh, that's overthrown. And Hartpury haven't got away with it. I thought they had done, but it's swept up by Johan Visser. Leeds Beckett, position A here, 10 minutes out, bang in front of the sticks. They are so narrow. Okafor waits, so Elliot Ward, try scorer, takes it on. Now here is Okafor, slowly making meters. Hartpury fanning out. They thought they'd got the turnover there. There was a voice screaming as Johan Visser has another go. Just Will Lewin to the left for Leeds Beckett. They're lining up on the right hand side, but I don't think it's going wide anytime soon. Okafor wants it at first receiver. Hartpury were weary of him, but they go to the right hand side. Oh, lovely ball inside. Ben Dixon chopped down. The Beckett supporters thought he was going in unopposed then. Leeds Beckett knocking on the door. Tip on to Will Routledge. 20 minutes to go. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Here's Stefan James. Okafor, oh, gets met, and have they ripped that Hartpury? If they have, that's a monster play.
The ball's there. Oh, just be quiet. The ball's there. There we go.
Well, well, well. A game breaker.
Yeah, great defensive set there from Hartpury. You know, Leeds Beckett were starting to show some patience in their attacking structure, but you have to give credit to Hartpury. They waited, and again, just as that opportunity came, they got off the line, they shut it down, and the line speed there really, really effective. And that was Robbie Smith again, so not only just showing his touches with the ball in attack, showing that he can defend as well.
Well, just read it. I think with John Okafor hanging out there, if it's quick ball, if he gets it going forward, then he's a problem. But if he's standing out there on his own, you know where the ball's going. But that doesn't take anything away from Robbie Smith, because he's committed. If he misses that, then Okafor's in, and it really is game on. But Beckett can come again. They're starting to turn the screw. They've decreased the ledger. It's 21-6 at half-time. They're still 2 scores behind.
I've got a feeling that's Gibson in there, and he has made a mess of that, and he has done fantastically well to get in amongst it and slow that ball up, get the maul, and get the turnover.
Well, you're not selected in 3 consecutive BUCS Super Rugby finals unless you are a game breaker. And for tight heads to come up with plays like that, well, how can you compete? Big changes coming here for Hartpury.
Jordan Liney on at hooker. Had the pleasure of coaching Jordan with the Wales 18s, and he's electric round the field, and it'd be interesting to see if he's worked on his throwing as well, because that was probably one of the areas of his game that he did need to work on. Fantastic around the field. It'd be good to see now in the last 15 minutes under this sort of game pressure what he can produce.
All right, time's up. Crouch.
BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. This one's still in the balance, but minuscule amounts of breathing space for Hartpury under the sunshine here in southwest London.
It's my fault, I got the timing wrong.
Almost tropical it is today, Dave. Almost tropical.
Well, I wish I'd put some factor 50 on, Danny. I haven't got the olive complexion that you have.
I am starting to get worried about you.
Crouch. Good. Bind.
BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. The final 16 or so minutes of the season. Hartpury have got the advantage here. What a massive scrum. That is huge from Hartpury, and they've come up with 2 or 3 defensive plays to relieve the pressure.
I have no doubt we will be seeing Valentine back on the pitch after that. I think you'll see Kerry probably left it maybe a little bit too long, but I'm pretty sure you'll see them coming back onto the field pretty soon.
Well, Xavier Valentine, team of the year last year, one of the best scrummaging tight heads in the league. And they cannot afford to be coughing up ball like that. Leeds Beckett got marched back by the Hartpury pack, who just made the changes ahead of that scrum.
It's great delivery there from Jordan.
There is Clementson, and then he finds Robbie Smith, who twists and turns and makes 10 metres. Another score here for Hartpury would surely be curtains for Leeds Beckett. Tom Everard, couple of metres short. Rare foray into the 22 in this second half. Oh, what a carry! Can't ground the ball though. Try saving tackle. Out of your shot, there's a Hartpury player down injured. They charge towards the line, over the line. Held up.
Hartpury had a 5-on-2 out wide there as well, so it'll be disappointing that they haven't got over the line, or certainly, well, they got over the line but didn't get the ball down.
Do you think that's something that's crept into the game? There might have been a high tackle there from Ben Dixon as well, but I think the referee concentrated on whether or not the ball was down. But do you think that's something that's crept into the game? When they're narrow like that, they've got so many pockets, they've got so many patterns with players going in behind each other that sometimes you don't even look out wide where there's acres of space.
Yeah, you know, I think you've got to have patience in that red zone, and you've got to work yourself that opportunity. But then I think you've got to be reliant on your communication channels and your communication strategies to make sure that when those opportunities are there, those 4-on-2s, those 5-on-2s, that those comms go in for you to be able to bring that ball back. And it's all about that timing.
Well, while the time's off, Danny Milton, it is quiz time. Top scorer in the league this year, Nathan Chamberlain, 141 points before today, 8 points off the boot, so he is on 149. What is the most points scored by a BUCS Super Rugby player in a single season, and who scored them?
Oh, that's an excellent question there. For me, it would probably have to be, I'd say, Ted Landry. And I'd probably say definitely somewhere around the 180 points mark.
One of them's correct, the other is incorrect. I can't believe you didn't get Tommy Morgan.
Wow.
Tom Morgan, Cardiff Met legend, 186 points last season. Ted Landry, up over 300, he's the all-time top scorer.
Ah, okay, yes, I've done Tom Morgan a disservice. He'll never forgive me.
Well, he had a fantastic season last year before that injury kept him out of the final.
Yeah, and we're really excited that he's looking to strap his boots on again next year now after his recovery, completing his Masters at the moment, and after such a disappointing way to finish, it'll be great to see him back.
Well, Leeds Beckett really attacking the Hartpury scrum here. But Dan Grange takes it from the base and puts Hartpury in position A once more. To apologise, Harry Wilson looking for a try in his third BUCS Super Rugby final. They've gone +1, they're over the line. And again, it's a chat.
No, held up, thank you.
Held up for the second time, Leeds Beckett hanging in there. It's skin of your teeth stuff. And as you suggested, Danny, Xavier Valentine is back on in that number 3 jersey, and look at the difference he made to that scrum.
Yeah, well, all of a sudden now, you know, if I was Hartpury, I wouldn't, I'd be looking to get that ball in and out. Don't give Valentine the opportunity to win that penalty at the scrum, because this is a big moment in the game. If Hartpury can get over the line, I think it puts the game to dead.
Well, it was Valentine who made the tackle there. I don't actually think the ball went over the line there. They should have continued. So Visser now cracking down an open side. Watch him fly up if Harry Wilson has a go.
Bind.
Both replacement scrum halves on now. Darryl Grant Adamson and Ben George. And that one just creeping round before the ball went in. I suppose with the changes in the front row, Valentine back on. Both just want to get on the front foot.
It's the other side that's really the problem we're not. I know, but whatever these two are still doing this, we're never going to get a scrum on it. Gents, hold your weight, stay up, off we go. Let's go, here we go. Just show us a little bit more shoulder. That's better.
Let's see if we can get the scrum to set this time. Alex Gibson's still on. This has been some stint from the big man.
Crouch.
Yeah, traditionally these days you see you know, your tight head props never really lasting more than sort of 50 minutes in a game, and you know, that's one of the strengths of this Gibson is he's a full court player, an all court game, and he's done a great job.
Wow, Hartpury getting the shove on. And it's away. Oh, the dummy from the replacement scrum half. Toby Venner has scored. Preferred to Ben George this season, and repays that faith with the try that surely clinches it for Hartpury. It's his 9th of the season.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that all stems down from the scrum platform that they got. You know, they brought Xavier Valentine back on to really try and be aggressive in these scrums, and for me, Gibson's done a great job there. It's allowed that scrum to be solid enough to get the ball away, and it's a great finish by the 9.
Well, he's had a brilliant season. 9 tries in total.
Yeah, you know, look, let's not, you know, look beyond this. I think Leeds Beckett have come out in this second half, and full credit to them for the way that they've fought themselves back into the game. And, you know, had they managed to get over the line and make it a one-score game, we'd have had a really interesting last 10 minutes on your hands. But, you know, the quality and testament to this Hartpury programme, you know, looks like it's going to be a 3rd year in a row, and that try has really put them on the way to another great BUCS Super Rugby victory.
And Nathan Chamberlain. This is an important kick because it takes them beyond 2 converted scores. And he drains it. Hartpury 35. Leeds Beckett 20. And that takes Nathan Chamberlain up over 150 points for the season. We highlighted him as a real key as we take another look at this scrum. We expected Harry Wilson to have a go, but Toby Venner sniped up. Steph James just overcommitted.
Yeah. Are you happy, Sam? All good, cheers, mate. Right, time's up.
Now Leeds Beckett have got 11 minutes to pull this one from the fire. Oh, not if Irv the Swerve gets hold of it. He's been quiet by his standards, but he barrels through before being brought down on the 10-metre line. That's the first time we've seen him stretch his legs in this final, and he really is a sight to behold in full flow.
Yeah, like you say, it's the first time he's really managed to open his legs up, and that's a great break, and again keeps this Hartpury team on the front foot.
There's Aidan Urnett wearing number 20. He's just come onto the park. Well, now Hartpury can just take the brakes off. Jack Johnson over the top to Alex Forrester. Irvin Murick gets around one. and puts the icing on the cake. Hartpury up to 40. Irvin Murick gets his 13th of the season, the Belgian international. Well, they've been his only contributions at the final. A clean break and then a try in the corner. And the body language of Leeds Beckett tells you everything. Hartpury home and hosed.
You do wonder how much the first half has taken out of this Leeds Beckett team. Hartpury came in with this game plan. They've stuck to it, even now in the second half. As the game started to tighten up, you're in a cup final, they've stayed true to their sort of philosophy of coming into it and keeping the ball on the park, keep trying to stretch that Leeds Beckett defence, and it's paid dividends. You know, credit where credit's due to the coaching staff and the players for implementing this game plan. It certainly worked.
Well, we will not be getting the drama that we did last season, but it's something that we alluded to at the start of the match, maybe before the cameras even went live, Danny, that there was just something about this Hartpury side. They know when to win. They've ebbed and flowed this season. They've actually been disappointed in some matches. They've come unstuck a few times at home. But when the pressure's been on, when they've needed to deliver, they certainly have. And they've got 6 tries here. Nathan Chamberlain to make it 42, which he does. Goodness me, that's another great conversion.
Yeah, I think you know, you've got to respect the Hartpury programme where it is, and I think for those of us with Saturday League programmes, ourselves and Loughborough, you know, sometimes your league position isn't necessarily where you're at.
Just going through the finish there. There's something about Murick. He's obviously big and strong, but he's just got that ability that some ball carriers have. He can just bounce off players.
Yeah, very much so, and you know, we've seen him come to the fore in the last 5 minutes of the game, and that was a great finish. But yeah, I think these Saturday teams do impact, and I think how you balance that. So sometimes you won't see the best of a Hartpury side until they make it to these knockout rounds, and you know, once again they've proved the case, and a great performance in this final.
Well, they've certainly saved their best for Twickenham. Take nothing away from Leeds Beckett, the first team to go back-to-back at the Gilmans. And Hartpury only beat them by 1 point when they had the return fixture up in Yorkshire. But a chance now just to restore some pride for Leeds Beckett. I think it's important that they don't disappear out of this game.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised, you know, again, if they do. The way they've reacted as a club and as a team this year to...
Oh, there's a lovely line there from Ben Dixon. Finds Dan Grant Adamson, and the scrum half goes over.
You know, and that reinforces the point I was going to make. They've had some real challenges this year. Bottom of the league at November time, 30-3 loss against Cardiff Uni, and perhaps that's what makes this side, and something they'll always be able to go away with proud this year, is the way they've responded to those setbacks, and that try is an example of that.
42 points to 25. It's been a 9-try thriller. That one converted pretty quickly by Steph James. So 42-27. Leeds Beckett still 3 scores behind. Again, great support line there from Dan Grant Adamson. Lions have got a real knack of that.
9 red, please, mate. Time off, Bob.
And Toby Venner will be replaced by Ben George, who'll come on to take part in his second BUCS Super Rugby final. His opposite number, Dan Grant Adamson, has a Twickenham try to remember. Well, we'll be announcing the man of the match soon, Danny Milton. It's being selected by a committee, but with 7 minutes left on the clock, who's impressed you today? Who would you have in contention?
Yeah, so for me, you know, I'd have to look at the Hartpury side. I think, you know, while we've seen some good performances in the second half from Leeds Beckett, I think with the way the game's gone, you'd have to put it up there for them. And the guys in the Hartpury side, Robbie Smith, I mentioned before the game, I think he's had a strong game. I think, you know, the back row, all the back row have impacted well, especially Harry and Max. And then obviously Chamberlain has controlled the game and has put tempo on the game. But for me, as unfashionable as it might be, I'd be going with Alex Gibson today. You know, they wanted this this forward dominance. They haven't had it at scrum time because, you know, I think Gibson's put in a good performance. I've seen him turn the ball over. I've seen him carry. I've seen him do all the things, and I hope he gets his just rewards.
Well, his just rewards will be a hand on the trophy and a gold medal. Will he have a man of the match plaque? The Yoti player of the match in the BUCS Super Rugby final to go with it. As soon as we receive that information, you will be the first to know.
Happy?
Conrad Cade then.
Coming off. Yeah, mate, hang fire, just making a change.
And with that, I think that'll be the end of Alex Gibson's game.
Yeah, all good. Cheers, mate. Right. Just wait for him to get here.
I've just heard 3 off from the referee. Or is that Xavier Valentine? Yeah, so Valentine back off. So Conrad Cade will move to prop. And Will Routledge is back on line-out duty. I have received the Yoti man of the match, Danny. I'll wait till the next break in play to let you know. Dancing feet there from Charlie Venables. Great counter runner from 15. Oh, big shot going in there. Maybe a touch late as Kieran Davis tries to get the footwork going. This more like it again from Beckett. We've got Toby Francis in the headband waiting out there. Back on. Beckett finishing with the big men. Oh, big shot coming in, and Robbie Smith nearly pouncing on that one.
You're offside, it's off his foot. Offside.
Oh, but it's come off a Leeds Beckett foot, and it doesn't rain, it pours. But now it's time to announce the Yoti man of the match for the BUCS Super Rugby final. He's been flawless with the boot after missing that first penalty. He's got up over 150 points for the season. Now he's about to kick to touch. There's your man of the match, Nathan Chamberlain.
Yeah, well, I can't argue with that. You know, like I said, obviously I thought Gibson had gone well, but when you look at who's made the team tick, you know, who's picking the right options, who's putting people through gaps, who's dictated the tempo of the game today, who's probably been a big part of implementing this game plan that has worked so successfully. You know, hats off Nathan Chamberlain, certainly 2 good performances when he played against us, and that's just reward.
Huge congratulations to him. And the Hartpury team, 5 minutes for Leeds Beckett to find 3 scores.
Seven's collapsed it.
Toby Francis has collapsed that, so the advantage coming for Hartpury. A bit of frustration boiling over with the players. Oh, and look who's there, Jordan Liney. Of course he is.
No comment, no comment.
So it was Wales 18s that you were...
Yeah, you know, very fortunate to be part of you know, the Welsh Rugby Union and a great group of coaching and players for a few years, and really enjoyed the opportunity.
10 red replacement, please. Yeah.
And with that, Nathan Chamberlain, that's his last contribution of the match. He leaves as a BUCS champion, as the man of the match, and we'll be hearing from him at the full-time whistle as well. So do stay with us for the trophy presentation and the live reaction, as that has not gone to hand.
Yeah, this discipline that cost Leeds Beckett at times in this second half. You know, another 2 penalties in a row. While they got themselves back into the game, certainly over the course of this second half, a couple of penalties here and there have been problematic for this Leeds Beckett side, and discipline is so important in these big games.
Well, the clock ticking towards 80 minutes. And Ben George is going to have a pop at the sticks here. He's only just come on as a replacement, and he wants to get himself on the score sheet, and why not? But the thing is, the game's won. It's actually a sensible decision, because if you go for the corner, there's going to be more big collisions. It's the end of a really long season for a lot of these boys who've been mixing, playing BUCS Super Rugby. Some of them have been playing Premiership Academy or Championship Rugby with Yorkshire Carnegie or Hartpury.
Dave, you're not wrong. 45-27 now, and it's been a comprehensive performance. And I think, what we're starting to see is the finals and games across BUCS Super Rugby of a quality that's equivalent of these Premiership Academies, these regional 23s games. And this university pathway is growing bigger and bigger. And, if you're not part of it, and you're a young person thinking of trying to continue their rugby development, get to these BUCS Super Rugby institutions, because big things are happening.
Well, games like this happen every week. Do not think that this is an anomaly. The quality's through the roof. The entertainment's there. We do our best to bring you as much action and entertainment as we can. And it's been another successful season. Well, the third season, and it's looking like a three-peat for Hartpury.
Yeah, and we've talked about it already, and John Barnes, who's the overall director of rugby, but I'd like to make a special mention to Sean Lynn, who really is a great character, somebody that you want to see when you go to these games. Not only the way he conducts himself, but really runs a great program, and apart from being smaller than me, an all-round top guy.
We always do get a fantastic welcome at the Gilmans. And they love him down there as well, don't they? I believe you've just heard from Tommy Morgan as well, who's watching at home. Welcome, Tom, and welcome to everyone who's watching wherever you are around the world. Give him a public apology.
Di Morgan over in America is watching as well, and he'd have known the answer to that question. So I'm already getting stick from Guards, who's over the moon with things again. But Tom Morgan, yeah, I have done him a disservice. I want to make that a public apology, and I look forward to seeing him soon.
Well, looking forward to seeing you back in an Archers jersey next season, Tom. Here's another stat that I dragged up as well. If you go back to the first season, 16-17, the top try scorer, Tom Lauday, second, Alex Dombrandt, and they'll be packing down in the same back row for Quins next year.
Yeah, and that reinforces the point we just made about the quality of BUCS Super Rugby as a product and what's happened over the last 3 years. We've always had people moving to the top end of the game, but it really is a procession, and you come out of university with a degree as well, so you're getting both that academic and rugby development, and hopefully we're looking after you holistically as well.
Well, the Hartpury Rugby Factory continues to produce success. And they march forward here, looking for 50, which would be an incredible performance, an incredible result from them, but perhaps a tiny bit unfair on Leeds Beckett, who've more than played their part.
Yeah, very much so. Leeds Beckett, a great run they've had since Christmas, and really turned things around. And while they'll be disappointed today, I think they'll be able to look back on their season and really be proud of the way that they bounced back in that second half.
Well, the clock has now gone red. And all hail Hartpury. Hat-trick heroes on the hallowed turf. Their dynasty continues. And how long can they continue this success? 3 years of BUCS Super Rugby. 3 times they have been champions. They always find a way to deliver on the grandest of stages. And this might be the best victory of them all. Full time here at Twickenham. Leeds Beckett University 27, Hartpury 45. And there is a mix of ecstasy and exhaustion out there in red jerseys.
Yeah, and they're the standard bearers, and what we've now got to do, Leeds Beckett will be doing it, Exeter will be doing it, Cardiff Met will be doing it. We've got to start to look at our programmes, we've got to look to what are our wins, what are the things that we can do to bring ourselves that opportunity next year to run out on this field and actually take this cup away from Hartpury.
Well, they accept all challenges by the looks of things. While the players shake hands in the sunshine here, most of the ground now in shade. It really has been perfect rugby conditions. Let's have a quick word on Leeds Beckett, because the way they've turned things around, it wasn't to be for them today, but they have been a credit to the institution, to the programme. 11 victories in a row. I'd just like to note it, 11 undefeated. The only points dropped were against your Cardiff Met side. Really has been a great season for them, and in these moments, it's very important they remember that.
Yeah, and again, I reflect on our season last year, in a similar position at the end of the game where, you have that huge disappointment, and nothing's gonna hide that now for the next hour, 2 hours. They'll have a few beers to try to put it to bed, I'm sure. But as time goes on, they'll start to reflect on the journey that they went on. And as you alluded to, they're going to be really proud of those, 11 undefeated games, the way they've turned their season around, and the bonds that they created. And those are some of the special things about university rugby.
They certainly are. I mean, we've spent so much time talking about it this year, whether it's been on the podcast or at away days where we've come down to Cardiff or up to Leeds or over to Hartpury or Loughborough or gone up north to Durham or Northumbria. Playing for your university is different to everything else, isn't it? It's not like your school where you make great bonds, or it's not like your club. That's an institution you've chosen to be a part of, and you make bonds for life with the players that you sort of go shoulder to shoulder with every week.
Yeah, it's 2 or 3 years, or for some of the universities 4 years that you have together, and you do the way that the institutions are run, the rugby programs, the way that they're delivered, the attitude to sort of excellence both on the rugby field and in their academic lives, and then you're going to be going out, you're going to be having a few beers with these guys, and like you say, it will be friendships for life.
Many of these will be going on to that England Students Tour of France. And again, another opportunity to build bonds and make rugby memories. Quick note on that performance, though, from Leeds Beckett. I mean, it's comprehensive in the end for Hartpury, but the scoreline, I'm not going to say it flatters them, but it doesn't feel like Leeds Beckett lost that game by 18 points.
Yes and no, Dave. I think the way Hartpury approached that first 40 minutes, everything went right for them. I think what probably would be when the Leeds Beckett reflect on the game, that opening 40, when some of their big game players didn't get into the game, I think that'll be the disappointing aspect. And I think that's where the game was lost. I thought the second half was far more of a competition. I thought some of the bigger Leeds Beckett players came to the fore. But ultimately, that game plan and the way Hartpury kept the ball on the field really challenged that Leeds Beckett side defensively. I think that's where you see that difference in scoreline.
What I liked about the Hartpury game plan is it was obvious what it was, and Leeds Beckett will have known that as well. They'll have known as soon as Hartpury were trying to keep the ball on the field of play, as soon as they were taking it off the top of the line, they'll have thought, oh my goodness me, they're going to run us around here, and it was up to them to respond. Those are my favourite game plans, the ones where you quite literally tell the opposition what you're going to do and ask them how to respond.
Yeah, and for a time Leeds Beckett managed to do that, and they did. They came out, whatever was said to them at half-time, they really came out and brought a level of physicality, and certainly started to turn a corner, but then Hartpury came back at them.
Well, Leeds Beckett go to receive their silver medals, but it's now time to go pitch side with Joe Burns.
I know, well, welcome back down to pitch side, guys, and we're Kerry Wood. Kerry, it's been a pretty extraordinary journey for your team, but falling short of the final hurdle, but with pride.
Oh, without a doubt, pride. Pride's there definitely, and just to get here is a special thing for those boys. There's about 4 or 5 guys that are leaving us there, and obviously I'd like to get the W, but that's the world wasn't made that way, so but immensely proud as a coach, and proud of the whole team. We've all stuck together. We had an unbelievable run. Hopefully we can do that next year, and credit to Hartpury for unbelievable, really good performance. They did their homework. They played better on the day, and that's the final, isn't it? They played better on the day. What else can you do? So yeah. So that's good. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned you've got a number of boys returning. This taste of the final, surely it's going to be fire in the belly of the boys for next year.
Yeah. We'll use it. We'll try and use it as coaches, and but certainly what we'll do is we'll regroup. We'll enjoy tonight. We'll probably enjoy tomorrow's bus trip as well. We'll have a few beers, and we'll look after each other, and we'll just reminisce about the season that we've had. And I'm very, very proud of everyone today.
Well, you should be. You've been absolutely excellent to watch all season, Kerry. Look, I'll let you get back with the lads. Good on you, mate.
Well, great to hear from Kerry Wood. Immense pride in what they've achieved this season, but it's a familiar sight. Could have been last year, the year before that, who knows, maybe even next year as well. Hartpury with gold medals around their neck. What they've managed to do there in terms of bringing players through the college system into BUCS Super Rugby, and then, albeit maybe not in the championship next season, but just to get there with those 10 promotions in 11 years or whatever it was, it's just a rugby factory. I think they can be incredibly proud from the bottom to the top of the club.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, full credit to the way that they've you know, focused on their development of their rugby program. They don't focus on loads of sports at Hartpury. They pick the 3 or 4 they want to be successful at, and they're damn successful at it. So yeah, credit where credit's due. A very good rugby program.
And now we await the trophy lift. The moment of sweet relief at the end of another successful season. Your BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti champions in 2019 are Hartpury. Well, we talk about dynasties, and I now think this constitutes as one. Questions were asked. Once again, they came up short in the race for the league. But in the sunshine here at Twickenham, the joy is all theirs. Full-time score, 45-27. 6 tries. A man-of-the-match performance from Nathan Chamberlain. They end the season with the top point scorer, 151 points. The top try scorer, Irvin Murick, with 13. And what a moment for the likes of Alex Gibson, who is your man of the match, and Harry Wilson. 3 trips here to Twickenham in a BUCS Super Rugby final and 3 victories. That might never be topped. You talked about these occasions being the biggest of some of these players' careers. What on earth, you know, they're going to come down with a bump. They're not going to be playing BUCS next year. They might go to other clubs. They might end up playing Championship or National 1 Rugby with Hartpury. But these are moments that they and everyone in red should be savouring.
Yeah, again, you know, not only is the transition now hard coming into universities where you've been that big fish in a small pond, you now come to university and you're here now for 3 years, and for these guys to get 3 BUCS Super Rugby Championships, like you say, might never be done again. I suppose the question is, what next for these guys? So, you know, where will the Gibsons of this world go to? And that's also part of the exciting thing here, is to see where these players from BUCS Super Rugby go.
And a little mention, of course, for Will Crane, excellent player in the front row, club captain of this side. Got injured against Exeter, terrible leg injury that kept him out of the rest of the season. He's just poking in the back there. Shame for him to miss out, but I'm sure all the boys will raise a glass for him and everyone else who was injured and missed out tonight. It's tough for these players who do miss out.
Yeah, it was an emotional time for a couple of our lads last year when they couldn't make the final, and for them not to be able to impact on the game. You know, what Will Crane can do is look back fondly on everything that he's done to contribute to this group moving forward.
Oh, look at those shots. We've said it before, but that'll be the photo that adorns many a mantelpiece. Every auntie, uncle, grandmother, grandfather will be getting one of those for Christmas.
Yeah, and you know, like we've said, some of these guys will be putting that photo next to one of a Gallagher Premiership title or an England game, and then some of these guys will be going on to do great things in other at-work walks of life.
And Sean Lynn is stood up there, just so you know, Danny.
Yeah, well, like I said, if I was next to him, I'd be at least 3 inches taller.
Well, congratulations to Hartpury, and those celebrations will continue in the sunshine. 45-27 victors over Leeds Beckett. Will they be back next year? Who could stop them? Of course, we've not spoken about Swansea. Out go Nottingham Trent. Swansea come in, and that's another short South Wales journey for you.
Yeah, and you know, hopefully that's starting to show the strength of Welsh University Rugby, and we look forward to the Welsh Rugby Union playing a bigger role in that moving forward, like the RFU have done with University Rugby. And to have 3 Welsh institutions in such a high quality league is really quite something special.
Well, I'm going to put my neck on the line and say that we need to get some referees from the English side of the border to officiate some of those matches in South Wales, but it's time once again now to go pitch side with Joe Burns.
Alright, here we are with the happiest man in Twickenham Stadium. Now, Lily, what do they say about death and taxes and Hartpury getting to a Twickenham final? It's inevitable, and this time you've done it again. It's the triple.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, you know, and you're talking about the triple, and it's lovely to see boys 2 years ago, 3 years ago in the crowd. And I just think some of the boys who were in that crowd, they want a piece of that cherry, and it's what it's about. Great effort from the squad.
Yeah, that's very interesting you say that. The more that people see Hartpury getting success time and time again, the more they're going to want to be a part of it and come and join you.
Yeah, and that's what we're about. It's about building that environment. Foro and Murph, they're spot on with it, and it's just about giving a good student that experience, and this finishes that season off then.
Right, so the last two finals prior to this, you've stolen victory from the jaws of defeat. Is it a bit more comfortable this time? Is it a nicer feeling, better for the old ticker?
Yeah, it was, you know, and we knew something what we said at half time actually. You know, we've been in this place before last year against Cardiff Met, and they came back. But you know, full credit to Leeds, they came back at us, but we just pulled away. Our backs were spot on, you can't fault their accuracy.
Yeah. And I just seen you celebrating there with the boys in front of the banner, going bananas. Does each one taste just as sweet as the last?
Yeah, it does, definitely, because it's a new bunch of boys. They all work hard every week, and it's a pleasure, and it's a great place to come and get that win.
Okay, right. Well, we're looking for your man of the match at the moment, Nathan Chamberlain, who's over. Nathan. Well, we can't see to get him at the moment because he's being mobbed by his teammates and being dragged in for photos. Oh, the superstar's finally found time for us. Nathan, this is the third time we've met on camera this season, and guess what?
Yeah, it's an unbelievable win. Like, I'm pretty speechless at the minute, but yeah, it's fantastic. He's going to win here. Yeah.
Well, once again, you're the Yoti man of the match. Linny's going to present it to you in a second, but you know, the scoreline does look comfortable, but there was a period, 20 points to 28. It was a real arm wrestle, and you had to fight tooth and nail.
Yeah, it was tough. We knew they were going to come back into it. You know, at half time we had a strong lead, but you know, we had to respect them, and you know, we had to play our own brand of rugby, and it was really tight coming into the second half. But yeah, we managed to pull through at the end and get the win.
It was a huge team effort. It felt like you came with a game plan. You wanted to move their big men around, tire them out a bit, and then play your rugby, and you executed that superbly.
Yeah, it was what we looked at. We did a lot of homework on them, and you know, last time we played them, we looked to go out wide quite a bit to the wide channels, and you know, it paid off sometimes. But yeah, as I said, we did our homework, and thankfully it worked. So yeah.
Okay, well, we don't get often a chance to talk about this man, but what do you say about Sean Lynn? His third championship in a row, and obviously he spearheaded this campaign with you guys.
Yeah, you know, he's a great coach. You know, he you know, he manages the players really well, and you know, he has a good. We have a good team spirit within the team, and it's all down to the coaches and Sean and what they want to try and build on for future players as well. And you know, all of us look up to him. So it's we're really happy that we've got Sean as coach. So
that's the first time anyone said that they look up to you, Linny. Right, Nathan Chamberlain, you are the Yoti man of the match. Linny, if you'd be kind enough to present it, I'll let you lads get away. Congratulations. Cheers, Linny. Righto, so that is all, folks. Another BUCS Super Rugby season comes to a close, and once again, the silverware is adorned with red ribbons. Leeds Beckett came here on the crest of a wave called Destiny, but they were no match for the irresistible trophy plundering force of Hartpury College. It's 3 in a row. 2017, 2018, and this year, 2019, BUCS Super Rugby champions. We have loved having you here for the whole season, and don't you worry, go into hibernation, but come back in the winter because we are going to be back. But from Twickenham, from all of us, it's good night.
It was so much much easier because I had already set up on the app about 3 months ago actually when it first came to the island.
I really like how simple it was to use.
It's the kind of convenience we want in this modern age that we live in.
Like, you don't really want to carry your passport around on night out, you're always going to have a phone on you.
The convenience to be able to go up and get my phone and just scan a thing.
It's just easy, you have all your stuff in one place.
And it makes life a lot easier when you're trying to prove your age and quite versatile as well.